Hi guys, I'm Joel from Rendervate Leeds, and this is one of my first YouTube videos I'm going to be shooting today. And the topic today is going to be on Thincoat or Monocouche render systems. I'm going to basically run you through both systems, and then I'm going to tell you some good points and some, well, not bad points because they're both great systems, but just a little bit of the downside to each one. So I'm going to get into the systems now. First of all, I'm going to talk about Monocouche, aka scratch render. So on my desk here, I've got a block here which basically shows the build-up of the system and in what order it goes. This is a good piece of kit to basically go out when I meet clients and stuff. I can show them, you know, how the system works in better detail. So on the polystyrene here, which basically would be a brick or a block of the property, and then it goes on to show, I can show them the build-up of the system. So basically, base coat goes on, and it has mesh integrated into that. So that goes on thin, mesh goes into it, press it on, trowel it on, leave a key and the scratch in it basically, and it leaves basically a solid background for you to go to with a nice key in it, ready for the top coat to go on top, which is then Monocouche. So that stands for one coat in French. Depending on if we're using a 15mm or a 10mm, we would just spray on. If it's 15, we might do a little tight coat and then let that pull in a little bit, then straight over at the top of that again, rule it off nice and level, get it out over the beads, ready for a scratch back. Or if it's a 10mm system, pretty tight, that's nice, we would literally one hit, spray on, and you'd cover the lot. Really good system. It looks really sharp and modern. So on this, when you scratch it back, you get to see the beads exposed. So when you bead up your windows, reveals, and you know, your walls and stuff like that, your angles, your returns, your bottom bead, when you scratch this back, you can see all the bead exposed. So it looks really crisp and sharp. I think this looks great when it's like a stone house or a stone building, and you've got an extension built. Like usually, like to get them built like a square or a cube, though these days, and you render it in scratch back render, and I just think it sets it off with ultra modern against an old style stone house. I just think it looks great. So it's great for that. It's modern looking, really modern looking, very crisp, very sharp. Another good thing about it is the speed of it. So in the summer, once you've put on your first layer of base and mesh, in the summer you can generally spray on panel after panel in the morning up to say 11 o'clock, get that rolled up nicely, and by the end of the day, coming 3-4 o'clock, it'll be ready to finish. So it's a quick, you can get it finished within the day. So from a contractor's point of view, it's good. You can get it finished the same day. Customers as well, you'll be happy with that. Get in and out your hair quicker, so it's good. In winter time, apply in the afternoon, scratch it back in the morning, because with the cold temperatures at night, it lasts a bit longer, it hangs over. If not, we give it a mist, get back in the morning, give it a scratch. So it's good for speed. Like I say, it's just basically two processes to it: base coat, top coat. That is it. They're the only two layers that you've got in it. So it's good, quick. The only downside that I found with Monocouche is when it comes to repair work, it's hard to repair. So if you get a dent in this, or someone knocks it, scuffs it, or anything like that, it's there. You know, people can patch it in. I'll be honest, I can't patch it in for the life of me. So it's easily perished. Like as in, if you pull it lawnmower out of the shed, scratch it against it, that's it. It's gonna have a mark down it. You can touch them up and stuff with paints, and you can get little repair kits and stuff like that, but it just never quite looks the same. A little downside to Monocouche as well is, clients won't be bothered about this, customers and clients won't be bothered about this, but when you scratch it back to the bead to get the nice flat finish, all the dust and leftover and excess render that we remove to make it flat goes to the floor. So we have to pick that up, obviously. So depending on who's applied it, I've been a bit of a sucker for this. I've applied it way thicker than I should have done, and I've had a lot to scrape up. So yeah, it's that's one of the negatives for us, I'd say. Another downside to Monocouche render that I found and it's quite a common occurrence if you're driving around and you see some properties that have got it on, is weathering. Really more likely in high vegetation, a lot of trees, or people who have it done next to a main road where there's fumes from the cars and, you know, stuff splashing up and all that. It's like you can get repellents for it that go on, that you apply to it, that helps it fight that, but it's something that no one ever says, is that it does hold a certain degree of water, and if water sits in there, so say like in England we rain all the time, so if we've got water sitting on there and, you know, a car comes past, splashes it, or some fumes hit it, or some algae from a tree happens to settle on it, sits in there, you know, so it can come infected. It can be cleaned off. You can get it cleaned off. Low pressure wash, sometimes high pressure wash it and treat it, and it brings it back, revives it. But I've just seen a lot of people don't offer this when they actually do monocouche systems, scratchback systems, which we do. We offer a Paragard on it, and I'd recommend getting that done every 2 or 3 years, just getting another coat applied. It's a day's work for someone. If you've got a big house, they'll come round with a roller and just roll it on for you and it's sound, or even a sprayer and spray it on for you and it's sound. But I definitely recommend that if you're going to get a monocouche. But all in all, for me, this system is great. It's quick, it's easy, and it looks fabulous when it's against something old or you're going for a modern sharp look. It's great. Now, other brands are available, but I happen to like the Parex scratch render. And this is the booklet it comes in. So it's got a selection of colours. As you can see, loads of different colours there. And yeah, pretty straightforward to get. They don't tend to really go off what's in the book here, like any specialised colours or anything like that. It's generally just what's in here, but I think they have made stuff in the past, but I wouldn't want to know what the lead time is on that. But yeah, so Parex. No, this ain't like, no, they aren't sponsoring this or anything like that. There's nothing like that. This is just a product that I prefer to use for when I'm doing scratch render. So I've got it here in my office. Right, now I'm going to go on to Thincoat render. This is a test panel that I've got for the Thincoat render. So as you can see, Thincoat on top there. That's the finish there. It's a little bit different than the scratchback. Tell you what, I'll put them together. I don't know if you can see it properly in there, but you can see the texture difference. This one looks a bit more flatter, smoother, some decent indents in it. And this one's a little bit more, it's got more like grainy look, but it's tight. Right, Thincoat render is, well, I don't even know why it's called Thincoat, because it's render from the back to the front. You know, the Thincoat on this is literally the top layer, which is the colour that you choose to go on top. So maybe that's why they call it Thincoat. I don't know. Anyway, it's a build-up of base coat. So a bit like traditional render. So when they used to do render back in the days, it was all sand and cement, and it just finished grey, depending on how much sand you used or whatever type of sand you used, or cement or whatever, determine the colour. But generally it finished grey, flat, and quite nice if you've done a good job on it. To be fair, it looks nice. So yeah, that's how that looks. So this is what, with the Thincoat, your build up is all base coat. So you get a 10mm, 15mm systems. Generally we do a 15mm, and like I say, you'll spray on your base coat. You'll get a good pass on your first spray, or your first hand apply, whichever we spray. But you put on your first pass, and what you'll do is you'll roll it up like this. So you see this here? We have a thing called it's called a serrated edge, and what we'll do, we'll use our serrated edges to get this first layer of base coat as nice and level as we can. And what we'll do then, we'll apply the mesh on, and we want to get that mesh as close to the top as that as we can. The mesh, the closer it is to the top, the stronger the system is. Basically, that's what it is. Less chance of cracking, surface cracking, or anything like that. So yeah, generally bottom coat will be 10 to 12mm. That's what we do, and then mesh goes on top of that, and then we'll put another layer on, which will be 4 to 5mm, and that's another layer of base coat. And then from there we get our power floats out, and we power float it all up make sure it looks nice and buff and ready. What we'll do then is, no matter what colour you pick, and I'm going to show you the colour chart in a second for Thincoat, because it's a bit different than the scratch render. So what you do is you get a primer and then you get a top coat. So once you've sponged up the second layer of base, got it nice and flat, what you do then is you'll primer the base coat. You'll primer coat it. It's basically like you're painting the house, really. And so say like you've got a grey Thincoat to go on top, you'll get a grey primer. You know, if you've got white, generally it's white primer anyway, but you can get primers tinted to more or less any colour you want, and then you can get more or less any colour you want with the Thincoat as well, which I'm going to show you now in the brochure. So this system is it's my favourite one, to be fair. I'll tell you why in a minute. So I showed you the book for scratch render, and it had quite a lot of colours in. I think there's 40 odd, but it might be more, might be wrong, totally wrong there. I ain't counted. Anyway, Thincoat, you get a swatch like this, and there's just everything. So yeah, we've got all different shades of greys, all different shades of whites. Gosh, there's so many. They've got blues, they've got pinks, they've got creams, they've got yellows, there's absolutely everything in here. Green, don't know if I said that, but there's green in there, you know, stuff like that. So you can basically get any colour you want on this. It's all lead times on it are generally like a week to 2 weeks from Parex. Again, no pun intended. I'm not, like I say, I'm not inclined to use Parex. Actually, I used to use Krend a lot as well. I just happen to like the Parex 1mm aggregate that I've been using recently, and it's just, my customers love it. So for me, you know, I'm always going to go with something that I like to use and something that the customers like as well, and it just happens to be Parex. The pros of Thincoat render are, it's mainly built up of base coat, so it's pretty solid. It's, you know, Monocouche is still solid when it sets, still it is, but base coat is base coat. It's indestructible, it's rock hard, it sets solid. So it's a really solid sound system, and with the mesh being further to the top, for me, it just gives it that extra bit of stability where you want it at the front. Also, another pro for me when it comes to Thincoat is the selection of colours. You know, you might just think, well, white's white, and you know, you might just think, well, grey's grey, you know, anthracite or whatever, you know, you think it's just a colour, but the reality is, you'd be surprised that when I give customers a swatch like that, how many different shades of white there is. Do you know what I mean? And what goes with different types. You know, like if you've got brown windows, you might want to go with like a really warmer white. You know, that kind of bordering on cream. If you've got like anthracite or black, you want to go. People usually go with something really sharp, like a really crisp white that just, you know, total different contrast, and it sets it off. So I think it's good to have the option to change. Obviously, with the Monocouche, you can get different shades as well, but there's not much there. Like, I think I've only used like 3 whites, I think, you know. So for me, having the option there, the choice to change and use something a bit different, you know, is there. Another pro for Thincoat is the fact of it can be repaired. So when you spray apply, the top coat, finish coat of Thincoat, it's crazy because with Monocouche, when you start, you can't stop. Because if you stop or slow down or anything like that, the joint mark will be there and it'll just look awful. So you can't stop. With Thincoat, I could be spraying half a wall, top layer, half a wall, want to go have my lunch, put the hopper down, put the gun down, seal it up, go have a sandwich, come back, pick it back up, start spraying again, nothing changes. So from an applicator's point of view, it's great. And that also works for the customer. If you do damage it, if you do want to get an extension built on, if you do want to move a window, or you might want to change a window, it's okay, we can repair it, no problem at all, and you will not notice it. As with Mono, you can see the difference when you've patched in, basically. When I try to think about the downsides to Thincoat, I can't really think of one. For me, it's pretty much an all-rounder. It's totally waterproof, lets water leave but doesn't let water in. It's got acrylic in it and silicones in it, and there's so many different types, you know, that you can get. It's just, for me, I can't really see a negative with it. The only negative I would say from a applicator's point of view is primer, when it gets on your hands, doesn't come off. So you've got to tape everything up. If you get it on a flag or something like that, you need to make sure that it's clean straight away, or basically cover up properly. What else is there when it comes to Thincoat? I can't think of anything for Thincoat that's really bad. It's my go-to render, I'll be honest. It's a little bit more expensive than Monocouche, and that's because the system itself requires another process, whereas Monocouche is base coat, mesh, top coat. You've got 2 coats and some mesh, that's it. With Thincoat you've got base coat, mesh, base coat, finish the base coat, sponge it up, then you've got primer coat, top coat. So it's a bit of a longer process. The price will change on it. I wouldn't say it's massively. Say you're paying 50 quid for a mono, average price will be around 50 quid a metre. Should be domestically. Average price is around 50 quid a metre. For Thincoat, you're looking 55 to 60 quid a metre. So yeah, I mean, I've showed you some brochures. I've showed you both of my sample blocks that I take to projects to show people the differences. We carry out both, so I'm not gonna. They're both class. They've both got their own positives, and they've both got issues. The Thincoat not so much. Like I say, the Thincoat hasn't got many because, let's just be honest, it's the best one you can get. So in my eyes, it's obvious that Thincoat is the go-to render. Like I say, it is a little bit more expensive per metre squared. It works out, but when it comes to the overall performance of it and the longevity of it, you know, it's a no-brainer to me. It's what I use on my own house. So that's it. I've come to the end of the video, and yeah, I've talked about both systems there. I hope it helps you make a decision and gives you a little bit of an insight into both the systems. Like I say, it's a new channel for me. I'm going to be doing more videos. I'm going to try and do them weekly. You know, it might be a little bit much to ask, but I'm going to try and do it. So yeah, if you want to subscribe and give us a follow, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, or leave us a comment. Just let me know what you thought about the video. If there's anything you think I need to change, or anything you'd like to see me talk about or explain, just drop it in comments. I look forward to showing you more of the projects that we do and showing you how we do it and how we leave such a good job. So yeah, give us a follow on Facebook and on Instagram. You can easily find us on there. If you just type in your search bar Rendervate, we come up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, you can subscribe.